What's up, gamers? I hope you guys are all having a great day full of so much positivity and happiness, dude. Because if you're a PlayStation fan, today probably did not have great news in store for you, especially if you haven't yet been able to get a PlayStation 5. Because Sony just hit everyone with some really wonderful news today that I'm sure has everyone extremely excited, and that is basically across the board, the cost of the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 Digital is going up by about $50 depending on where you live. Now, this isn't entirely unexpected because a while back, I think a month or so ago at this point, maybe even less than that, Sony was hinting at the fact that they hadn't yet ruled out the possibility of having a PlayStation 5 price increase. In fact, I actually found an article as I'm speaking right now, but back in July, they basically came out and said that they didn't have a comment on whether or not they would be raising the price of the PlayStation 5 or not due to socio-economic reasons like inflation, which has been pretty bad recently, I think you could say.
Let's go, Brandon. I agree.
But what's interesting, over a year ago at this point, Sony actually came out and bragged about the fact that they were making about $50 per console sold when it came to the PlayStation 5 disc drive version, and we're still losing money on the PlayStation digital console. So they were making a profit on basically the majority of PlayStation 5 sold, and of course software sales, subscriptions, all of that good shit always offsets the initial loss that companies take on consoles when they first release. But I don't think we have ever seen before, 2 years into a console's launch, a console manufacturer raising the price of the console that released 2 years ago with zero to no improvements whatsoever. In fact, typically the way it works is they improve upon the base model of the console and lower the price even further. So this is kind of an unprecedented move in the video game industry, especially on a console that's already turning a profit for Sony. And I don't think you can really chalk this up to anything other as Sony is really desperate to maintain their current gaming revenue, and obviously they're feeling the hurt somewhere that they feel like they need to subsidize for that. Because why is Nintendo not raising prices? Why is Microsoft not raising prices? Why are PC component part prices dropping like a fucking rock in a river, dude? If this was such a disastrous time to be in the gaming hardware business, why is it that literally every single other company doing this exact same thing is having no issue with it whatsoever? In fact, Valve recently upped the production of their Steam Deck consoles because things have been getting better in the overall economy and in terms of component pricing. So you really can't find an excuse for this other than Sony is just being greedy little shits, and they want to maintain their current level of gaming revenue, and obviously software sales are not doing that because over the past couple years, gaming took a meteoric rise, and now it's coming back down. So instead of letting things just naturally decline over time, no company actually wants to do that. What they're gonna do is find ways to make up for that loss in revenue and still make as much money even during the downturn as they did when the market was going crazy, which is exactly what's happening now. Sony is increasing the price of their gaming hardware in order to bring in that little bit of extra revenue. So Sony put out a blog post addressing this early this morning actually, and the title of this blog post is PS5 price to increase in select markets due to global economic environment, including high inflation rates. Now, when they say in select markets, it basically means everywhere except the US, but if you really want to look at it, the prices in the US have gone up as well, but we'll get to that in a little bit because I think this is kind of done in a more strategic manner than what they're doing right here, and if Sony was smart, they would have employed the same strategy, but they're not for some reason. So let's go ahead and read this real quick. The global economic environment is a challenge that many of you around the world are no doubt experiencing. We're seeing high global inflation rates as well as adverse currency trends impacting customers and creating pressures on many industries. Based on these challenging economic conditions, Sony Interactive Entertainment has made the difficult decision to increase the recommended retail price of PlayStation 5 in select markets across Europe, the Middle East, Africa, Asia Pacific, Latin America, as well as Canada. There will be no price increase in the United States. Now, I do think this is very ironic. They're basically acknowledging the fact that, hey, inflation's basically fucking everybody in the ass right now, but here we are with a few more inches to add on top of it, because here comes a price hike on the PlayStation 5 you probably haven't been able to get already at this point. So, I don't really know. This is such an out-of-touch fucking statement to say, like, we acknowledge that customers are facing adverse situations, and here you are to make it fucking worse for them, bro. Like, you really cannot make this shit up. But I love how they say in select markets. They could have just said everywhere except the United States, because that's basically who this is affecting. So in Europe, the PS5 disc version will be 550 euros, the digital will be 450, in the UK it'll be 480 pounds or 390 pounds. In Japan, it'll be 61,000 yen or 50,000 yen. In China, it'll be 4,300 yuan or 3,500 won. And in Australia, it'll be going up to $800 or $650. And in Mexico, it'll be 15,000 pesos or 12,500 pesos. So I think that's right around $750 in Mexico, which is fucking incredibly high. And also in Canada, the price will be going up to $650 or $520. So a major increase across the board. I've seen some people do the math, and it's about a $30 to $60 increase depending on where you live in the world that you're going to be seeing on the price of the PlayStation 5, which 2 years after launch is not something anyone was fucking expecting to see. If anything, you would almost expect there to be a price drop, considering the fact that Sony is making a profit on every single console sold, and on top of that, the gaming industry is in kind of a little bit of a recession right now, so it would make sense to be more enticing with your price point to get people to jump over to your console, but I guess not when it comes to the PlayStation 5, man. So the article continues here and says, while this price increase is necessary, given the current global economic environment and the impact on Sony Entertainment Industries' business, our top priority continues to be improving the PS5 supply situation so that as many players as possible can experience everything that the PS5 offers and what's still to come. Thank you for your continued support. Now, this is what's very interesting too, because increasing the price automatically makes it so more people are not able to experience it, which I don't know, man. This entire thing just reeks of fucking corporate PR bullshit, and they're just trying to like desperately justify the price increase because they probably want to continue to make a profit on every single PlayStation 5 console sold. Now, in the comments section of this article, they are getting absolutely grilled, bro. Like, typically, whenever PlayStation does one of these blog posts, the fucking damage control squad comes out in full force. But if you scroll through the comments on this thing, like, it is a complete fucking shit show for Sony. I don't think there's a single positive comment that I've seen, and, you know, for good reason. People have every right to be upset about this. I mean, somebody literally has the best fucking thing I've seen. Literally, the top comment is, I already have a PS5, but I'm still offended by this. Like, you know, it goes to show you, man, nobody is in favor of this whatsoever, and Sony really has been pushing the limits on the goodwill they've had in the video game industry. Like, Sony's kind of getting back to their PS3 days where they're really fucking cocky and they think they can get away with everything. Now, this is what's interesting. They did not increase the price of the PlayStation 5 in the US. Now, there are two reasons for this, okay? And the first one I think is very obvious. Microsoft very, very, very rarely talks about console sales anymore because for the last 5 to 7 years, they were getting their teeth completely kicked in by PlayStation and Nintendo. So, you know, they were very adamant to not talk about console sales because it would make them look terrible. Well, recently, Microsoft has actually been coming out and bragging that in the last 3 financial quarters, the PlayStation 5 had been outsold by the Xbox Series consoles in the United States. Now, part of this is due to the fact that Microsoft paid for preferential chip production when it comes to AMD, but on top of that, their Xbox Series S console at $300, which even gets discounted to $250 in some cases, has been selling incredibly well for them and is a great entry point into next generation gaming. So Microsoft has actually been killing it in the United States recently, and I think Sony's really worried about that fact because they're used to an Xbox that kind of is just like a fucking doormat that everybody walks right over to go buy a PlayStation 4 because last generation, that's exactly how it played out. The Xbox One was like chopped liver, bro, and the PS4 was like a filet mignon, and I don't think anybody would argue that fact. The Xbox One, when it came out, was a dog shit console in comparison, and Microsoft completely shot themselves in the foot at every single opportunity marketing that console from its very first announcement. But this time around, it's not the same scenario. Microsoft Microsoft has come out very strong. They've had a great value proposition with Game Pass. They have payment plans, affordable pricing. Like I just mentioned, $300 for a next generation console is incredible. I mean, Sony does have their $400 PlayStation 5, but the $500 disc version gets restocked way more than the digital because Sony makes a profit on the disc version and loses money on the digital, but you know, that's beside the point. So Microsoft is doing a very good job of competing this time around, which I don't think Sony's quite used to, and they're worried about the United States because even during the 360 generation, when Microsoft was truly giving Sony a run for their money, the 360 never really did well in Europe or like Latin America or any of those countries, really. The 360 was prominent in the US and the UK, and because it dominated those two markets, Xbox did incredibly well that generation, and the PlayStation 5 made up a lot of ground last generation with the PlayStation 4 because the Xbox One just shot itself in the foot so much at every opportunity, and now PlayStation is getting cocky once again and jacking up the prices across the board in every single market except the United States because obviously they feel like they have a good hold on the European, Latin American, and Asian market, so they're like, fuck it, we're gonna raise the prices there. People want to buy our console anyway, and in the US where we need to be a little bit more competitive, we're not gonna do it. But this brings me to the other thing, okay? Sony is not raising the price on the PlayStation 5, but also they kind of indirectly are raising the price on the PlayStation 5 in the United States. Now, I follow a lot of PlayStation 5 restock accounts on Twitter because they send out notifications whenever the PS5 became available. But anyway, I follow these accounts still, and all the time I see the PS Direct restocks go up, and never does PlayStation Direct ever just restock the standalone consoles. You always have to buy what they call the Horizon Forbidden West PlayStation 5 bundle. So you're basically getting a PlayStation 5 and Horizon Forbidden West for I think $550 or $560 if I'm not mistaken. So it's an increased price. Now, if you pay attention, what did the price increase across the board on a global scale? $30 to $50. So this new bundle they're selling of the PlayStation 5 in the US, which is the one they restock from their own storefront the most frequently, is this $550 bundle instead of a $500 standalone console. Now, this console comes with a copy of Horizon Forbidden West, which, because they're the game's publisher, costs them absolutely nothing to include with the console. So really, they're just making you pay an extra $50 for a game you may or may not want in the first place because it costs them absolutely nothing to include it with the console. So in essence, they kind of have already raised the price of the PlayStation 5 in the United States if they never restock the standalone PlayStation 5 consoles and only restock the Horizon Forbidden West bundle, effectively making up that difference and why they're probably not increasing the price of the base console, because they've found this bundle has been a good strategy for them and is moving units, and they can still make that extra money without appearing to be anti-consumer in a market that they're competing very closely with Microsoft in terms of the United States. So that's what I think would have been the smarter play in these other markets. You know, don't increase the price of the PS5, just put out more of these bundles that come included with a particular game for $50, $60 more than the base cost of the console. You know, people won't feel like they're getting shafted quite as much because they could be like, oh well, you know, the game's $70 anyway, so I'm kind of getting that as a discount. It's a PlayStation 5 exclusive, so I'll have something to play on my console, and I'm getting the console for around the same price I would normally. I don't think anybody would give a fuck about that. Like, just bundle stuff. It works for retailers, it works for everyone, and it's obviously working in the United States. I don't really understand why this wasn't the strategy that Sony employed, because I think it would have been a much better optical decision for them, and it honestly may have even presented a value to some people because they're like, oh, you know, I'm getting a console and a game for $550 instead of spending $570 on the console and the game separately. So I think that would have been the much better decision, but it just kind of shows you Sony is silently increasing the price of the PlayStation 5 in the United States. They just really aren't doing it the same way, which is why I think it's interesting they chose this course of action for increasing the price worldwide. But I don't know, man. Not a lot of people are very happy about this whatsoever. I think a lot of PlayStation fans feel like this is kind of a swift kick in the balls, especially because a lot of people haven't been able to get a PlayStation 5 as it is. And now if you finally get the opportunity, you know, Sony's going to charge you even more money than it cost in the past 2 years to get a console. So I don't know, man. This is a very interesting decision. And, you know, Sony is kind of getting into that really cocky mindset I think they had in the PlayStation 3 generation. So it's going to be interesting to see how this entire thing plays out. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section below. Make sure to hit that like button if you did enjoy, and as always, I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to check out this video, and for all the recent support as well. You guys are the fucking best, and I really do appreciate it. So with that said, I will catch you guys next time.